Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Sharath Ramaswamy. I'm a e-learning evangelist with the Adobe Digital Learning team. And I'm here today to talk to you all about how you can deliver learning impact with AI. So I'm going to go off camera now. I'm going to share my screen and we can get started. Okay, can you see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Yes, okay, wonderful. And let's begin. So, for those of you who joined us now, are joining us now, I'm Sharath Ramaswamy. I'm the learning evangelist for the Adobe Digital Learning Suite. And I have about two or more than two decades of experience with e learning. I started my career as an instructional designer with Oracle University. And over the years, I have fulfilled different roles in instructional design, learning management, system administration, because I wanted to see how the engine ran after my stint as an instructional designer. I wanted to see the other side. I wanted to see how. So I managed the Oracle online library, and where I managed and ran the LMS, which hosted the online library. After which I've done various roles. I've helped set up e-learning strategies and teams across different startups and tech companies. And now I'm doing what I love the most, which is helping organizations rethink how to design and develop training with AI around, right? So let's begin with this a brief question I had, right? So when your leadership team asks about learning impact, what do you show them? It'd be great if you can just type your views into the chat window, because I can't see the chat window right now, so I won't be able to respond to it. But I just want you all to think about it and be honest. Just share, because I'm sure there are some of you who have fine-tuned it, and you may have something to share. But for a lot of folks whom I've met across different uh, geographies and different organizations, this is a challenge, right? Always the talk comes up about how do you determine ROI and how do you show impact, learning impact to your leadership. So please go ahead and type it out. Let us know how you are responding to these questions that your CEO and the board wants to know. So while you continue typing in there, organizations are investing very heavily in learning platforms, content libraries. Yet, learning leaders, are struggling to answer this one fundamental question of, how does learning improve business performance? And the real challenge is not because we don't have enough training, right? It's not because there isn't enough training. The real problem is we are not seeing enough impact. And learning can impact business priorities in many ways. I've listed it over here, right? Revenue. Learning can have a direct impact on revenue because you have your sales organizations, like, any increase in sales, like if you've skilled the sales team all right, you'll see an increase in revenue. Learning can accelerate productivity. It can reduce the time for a new hire to go live. It can enhance customer experience. So if you train your frontline workers adequately, they can service their requests, and customer satisfaction increases, which results in customer retention and so on and so forth. And partner enablement, they're another extension of our workforce, right? So enabling them again will result in increased revenue. And now, for those organizations who use an agile workforce with a gig economy around, it's even more difficult, right? It's a fluid workforce, and how do you continuously train and keep them ready and ready to contribute to the organization? And of course, we can't forget risk, because compliance, the organization's exposure to legal, financial risks. Compliance training is again very important, and learning can contribute and ensure that it's reducing organizational risk. So the real problem is that you know It's not a lack of content. It's just that even when the learners complete the training, completion doesn't mean comprehension. And many learners don't even know what truly matters for their role or for their growth. And at the same time, skill gaps are evolving faster than our programs. And by the time we design, build, and launch a course, the business priority may have already shifted. And a lot of us are experiencing that now because with the whole AI evolution that is happening at such a rapid pace, there's so much of disruption everywhere. So everybody is feeling it. And then there's the systems challenge as well, right? Learning data sits in one place, performance data sits somewhere else, business metrics live somewhere else. Nothing is truly connected. And when we measure activity, we measure hours, completions, attendance. But the business really doesn't care about this. It cares about outcomes. And that's the enterprise learning challenge today, not how to scale, not the content, but the impact. So, how do we drive measurable learning impact inside our organization? It begins with skill intelligence, right? So, before we go jump onto the platform and see what we can do, let's try to understand what all is needed across the entire life cycle, right? So, it starts with skill intelligence. We need to clearly understand what skills matter to the business, where the gaps are, and how those gaps affect performance. And without that visibility, learning becomes guesswork. So you can guess and you can just create your entire learning strategy, but it will not work, right? So then once you identify the skills which matter to the organization, we move to personalizing the learning. It's because not everyone needs the same course at the same time. And when learning is tailored to a role or a skill level, the relevance goes up, and so does the engagement. And that's another thing which we have done some surveys in collaboration with an organization, and what's come out is that learners usually don't find time for learning because they don't see value in it, right? So the relevance, that's again very important to increase adoption, because that's another issue which we face. And then comes real time performance support. Learning shouldn't only happen before or after work, it should happen during work also, at the moment of need when decisions are made. And we should also shift from one time training events to continuous development, because when skills evolve, rules evolve, business priorities evolve, learning has to be ongoing, adaptive, and responsive. And finally, and most importantly, we focus on measurable outcomes, not just who completed what, but what improved because of it. That's how learning moves from activity to impact. So, in order, let's now take a look at, like, we all use different platforms to host our learning, and sometimes it will be different platforms. But let's take a look at what works and what are organizations. Now, here I'm broadly classifying the entire life cycle of how to transform and use your learning platform to make it a business performance engine. That's because I would like you to understand, even outside of the learning platform, what are the places where intelligence needs to be built, where AI needs to be applied. So how do we move from transforming our learning platform to a business performance engine? So tying it back to our earlier slide, let's begin with the skill framework. So the skills, that's the critical foundation, right? So if your learning platform isn't anchored to a clear skills framework, it's impossible to connect learning to your business outcomes. So, and again, over here, as I mentioned earlier, the skills cannot be static because the business strategy evolves, the market demands a shift, and new technologies emerge, right? So, your skills framework must be aligned directly to your business strategy and continuously updated. And how do we do that, right? Because our learning platform may not have the capability to do that. So, first of all, you need to integrate, right? So, every organization will have it. So the learning platform cannot operate in isolation. It needs to connect with an external system. So the HRI system, the talent management, performance platform, workforce planning tools. There'll be various tools, where you can get this information. And when the learning data and this performance data are connected, you gain visibility into what skills the business needs, what skills employees currently have, where the gaps are, and which gaps impact performance the most. So we're not trying to ask you to reinvent the wheel here because there are already systems and platforms managing this information. It's just, about connecting the dots and bringing it into your learning platform and using it effectively. And this is where AI changes the game. So AI can dynamically analyze all these job roles, performance trends, content libraries, and even industry benchmarks to identify emerging skills, detect the evolving skill requirements, and automatically tag content to these relevant skills. And in this way, you can recommend updates to your skills taxonomy. So here, this is a consolidated view of what different organizations are doing, right? I can't name our specific customers who are doing this, but I have met so many different. In fact, just yesterday we had a roundtable conference where we had invited and hosted the learning leaders, and it was fascinating to hear all that they were doing. Like they have already applied AI to their learning strategy, their frameworks, and there's just so much they've achieved. And they're managing massive amounts of learning and learners. Their workforces are so large. It was very impressive. And, to bring it all in together, of course, I'm simplifying it, I'm dumbing it down here, but I think it gives you the idea. And I would encourage you to apply this and think through how it is applicable to your organization because each organization is different, each use case is different, and each application is different. So here I've tried to simplify it and bring it all together and just brought in everything which can have a common thread across it. But I would request all of you to think through and apply this to your individual organization's architecture and framework. So going back in here, so instead of maintaining spreadsheets of competencies once a year, I don't know how y'all do it, your skills framework becomes a living, dynamic, and a strategically aligned framework. And once your platform understands skills at this level, everything changes, right? Because the learning paths then become more purposeful, recommendations become strategic, and development becomes measurable. And now you're not just delivering training, you're building capability aligned to your business priorities because it's all based on the dynamic skills data that you have gathered. And now, once your platform is anchored to a dynamic skills framework, the next step is activation. Because identifying the skill gaps is powerful, but closing them, that's where the real transformation happens. And that is what you are in control of. And this is where AI driven recommendations and coaching comes in. Because instead of pushing the same learning to everyone, you can use AI to analyze role, the skill gaps, learning behavior, performance data, and recommend exactly what each individual needs next. So, no more content, the right content. So, it's not more content, it's the right content. And at the right time, in the right sequence. And in this, it's like, if you add an AI learning assistant, then you're providing the learners an always available guide. So the learners can ask anytime the learner can, as they're going through your learning path and the courses, they can ask questions about a course. They can request summary of the concepts. They can get explanations in simpler terms. They can generate practice questions. They can reinforce understanding before applying a skill. So it turns passive consumption into a very interactive learning experience. And it doesn't stop at
Hey, Sharath,
recommendations. Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Your slides are not moving
yeah. I'm still explaining what's
on
on this slide.
transform.
So
Okay,
I've reached the third point. Okay,
sorry about
so you
that.
want me
I
to
just wanted to be sure we're on this slide.
Yeah. So I'm just covering this is a very important concept. So I'm just going through each thing. But we will be revisiting this. I'm going to be demoing this again. So this is just to set the context. So for folks who are listening, they can apply it and map it to their own organizations. I'm just letting them dwell on this a bit. So yeah, and please feel free to interrupt and ask me any question if there's something in the chat which folks want to know with respect to a particular thing concept that I'm explaining. Right. So going back to this, so the AI-driven recommendations and coaching. So it doesn't stop at that, right? Because now what's also happening is AI-powered coaching, which is adding another layer of practicing, of reinforcement, of simulations where the learners can actually practice with the AI coach. And so instead of learning being like a one-time event, it becomes a continuous guided journey. And when you combine all this, the platform is not just assigning training, it's guiding development. And that's when we are not just, we're actively helping our workforce close these competency gaps. And now, when we are looking at the next thing, like learning tied to revenue, customer, and partner enablement, yeah, because when we are talking about our customers and partners, when our partners sell better, when our customers use our products more effectively, learning stops becoming a support function and it becomes a revenue driver, right? And none of this will matter without the right analytics, and we need dashboards that connect this. So it's a complete life cycle, starting from identification of skills to then determining the gaps and then making the recommendations and coaching and tying your learning to revenue, tying it to customer and partner enablement, and also then integrating your learning data with the business dashboards to show the impact to the business outcomes. So let me now talk about how we have used AI to power our digital learning ecosystem to achieve what I've just walked you through. So here we will be going into more detail about Adobe Learning Manager, but I'll just quickly give you an overview of our entire learning solutions ecosystem in case we have folks in the audience who are new to this. So we have our creation layer, so Adobe Captivate, which uses AI to accelerate content creation. And it over here you can use AI to create text, content, images, animations, add an avatar, create scenarios, etc. Right? So it decreases production time considerably. So content creation increases productivity. At the delivery layer, Adobe Learning Manager applies AI to personalize the learning. So instead of assigning courses, the system will recommend capabilities and align your learning. What we just discussed to great detail, it aligns learning to your role, skills, and behavior. And what it also does is it has an AI learning assistant where employees can ask questions. It has an AI coach, and we'll take a look at all that. So I won't spend too much time on this. So we look at the AI based recommendations engine, we look at the AI learner assistant, and here we have an AI admin assistant. So if you're administrating your learning platform, you can again use the AI assistant to get some help in doing your administration. And then we have Adobe Connect, which is our virtual learning platform, which brings intelligence into the live learning experiences. So over here, when we are talking about our live training instances, again, you can use AI. And what's a very powerful feature here is your live webinar can be translated into a blog or other articles, which you can use as reinforcement to your live training. So we have connected content creation, personalized conversational delivery, AI coaching, AI learner assistance, and immersive live experiences to create a highly personalized, adaptive, and continuous learning process. So now, without further ado, let me introduce you and let's start seeing things. Enough talking now. Let me just switch to a the demo of all these features that I just described. So here I have logged into Adobe Learning Manager. So for folks who are new to Adobe Learning Manager, I'm just going to quickly walk you through this interface. So you can see this is my homepage, and as I scroll down, I can see my learning list. I can see my calendar. So if there are classroom learning events, so they would be available over here. So I can see all the sessions which are available on this calendar. Have a leaderboard where, once I start taking courses, so as a learning leader and as a learning administrator, you can configure the leaderboard to just gamify and ensure that everyone's uh, uh, motivated and encouraged to do as much learning as possible. And you can set the tone over there. You can score them. Everyone loves to see their name on a leaderboard, so you can more fun. And then you have the social feed. You have the social learning component where you can encourage all your learners, all your employees, or all your learners to share best practices with each other, etc. And then compliance data. Then over here, this is where I'm going to show you the AI based recommendation engine. So I had specified some roles and skills that I'm interested in, and based on that it is recommending these courses for me. And it's also looking at what's trending in my network and recommending this to me. On the left, if I want to configure this, I can just go and click recommendation over here, and I can specify what my preferences are from a roles perspective. As you can see, I have specified sales and business development, and you can also specify the skills. Now, based on this, it's going to search and specify and recommend these courses for you. So what you see popping up here, this is something Alan has created. It's a custom pop-up. He has injected it in here. So he has included links. So that's a altogether different discussion. I won't go into that right now, but you can see how the platform can be customizable as well. So coming back in here, let's take a look at the search capability. So the AI powered search. So these recommendations and this semantic search understands user intent. It's not just talking about what it doesn't do just a text match. It is actually looking at the entire courses, the course metadata, the skills, the notes, the badges, and the tags to pick up and provide the uh, search results. So, for example, over here, a recent search that I did, how can I improve my negotiation skills? You can see that it has picked up courses which are related to the intent, right? So, because if I need to negotiate, I need to know some concepts well. So, in order to demonstrate it and things like so, whatever it believes are relevant to the topic that I have mentioned over here, it is going to show that as well. So let me now go down to this AI assistant. So of course, the search, you can do this advanced search and find things, but you could also just put some questions in here. The AI assistant, it will help you help answer any questions. So as you're going through all these courses, and you may have some questions in your mind, so you don't have to wait and go and search for it separately. You can just come here and type the question in over here. So let us ask some questions about the course. I have just kept a little list of questions for me to do this faster. So over here, this particular website is based, the learning page or learning hub is based on a product called Egg. It's a fictitious product. And so let's go and find out something about what the egg is. right? So I've just gone and typed in here saying, what is the egg? Can you summarize the egg for me? And as you can see, it has picked up this information. So this is not from the web because information for the egg does not exist on the web. It's picking all this information from all the content that is residing within my LMS. So the beauty of this is that it's not just looking at content, which is the custom content you have uploaded. It's also browsing through the content libraries that you're integrated with your LMS as well. So both internal and external content, it's going to go through that, crawl through that, and answer your questions for you. So the humongous potential over here, right? So let's check some more prompts over here. So I want to now get a elevator pitch on this. So it's going to now, again, uh, go and do some crawling and pick up some information. And you can see it has summarized this. I have this really short pitch over here. So for all of you, what the egg is, it's an AI pendant that my colleague designed. Uh, and sure enough, after he designed this, it was fictitious. We all had a good laugh about it. But I think a few weeks later, there's an actual product, which is a wearable pendant, which is like an assistant, an AI assistant. So it was just he missed an opportunity there to make some quick bucks. So let's try one more prompt. Who are its competitors? And let's see what it brings up. So you can see it is the competitors are smartphones, smartwatches, and smart speakers, as these devices offer overlapping features. And now here's a trick question, right? I remember I told you this is a fictitious product. So let's go and ask the AI assistant what our competition says about the egg. As you can see, it says there are no documented opinions or statements from competitors regarding the, of course, because it's a fictitious product, there would be no references. And I'm glad to see this response from the AI assistant. So you get the idea, right? So over here, instead of leaving the platform or searching somewhere else, your AI assistant can clarify concepts of your learners. It can reinforce some key points, and you can also ask it to generate some practice questions, etc. So it's like having a personal tutor embedded directly inside the learning experience. And so the other thing we can look at is similar to the AI assistant for learners, there is an AI assistant for administrator as well. So let's go in here. I'm changing my role to that of a learning administrator. Before we go into the demo of the AI assistant for administrators, let me just show you how you can configure your AI assistant for learners. So when I select that option, it's also there on the left, AI assistant. You can go and enable or disable it, and you can specify who are the eligible user groups who will see it. So if you want everyone to see it, you can add all users. Otherwise, you can specify specific teams whom you want to share this with. And you can also specify the eligible catalogs that it needs to go and review and pick up content from. So all your proprietary content, etc., you can just have that available over here, and it'll pick up. So again, we are personalizing it. So we are ensuring that it will answer and respond only based on the content which is relevant for this organization or specific user group. So let's go and activate the AI assistant for admins. So this is on the bottom right corner here. I'm going to click this, and you can see over here, it's in the beta phase, but it's available for folks. Um, so ideas to get started. So you can just choose any administrative task that you need some assistance with. You can just type it in here, and it will come and show you the results. So it's going to go and pick up these suggestions from the learner help desk or the user guide, the ALM user guide, and it's going to bring it here. So again, you don't need to search for, you don't need to search through the user guide for this. It gives you the a step-by-step explanation of how you can go about adding users or creating learning plans or creating learner groups, etc. So this way, the AI assistant can help your learners as well as you in administrative activities, as well as answer learners' questions and make it more relevant for the learner. Now I'm going to go out of this back to my presentation. So this is the AI assistant for learners. And then I want to now bring you to the AI virtual course. Now this is not readily available in the system yet. So I'm going to show you a brief recording that my colleague Justin Seeley has created, which walks you through the overall AI coach. Now, a brief intro before I launch the video. So, the AI coach, the difference is that the AI coach, while the AI assistant will help learners understand content, AI coach helps them improve their performance. So let's see how it does that.
Hey there, I'm Justin Seeley, Senior Learning Evangelist here at Adobe. Today, I'm going to be giving you a sneak peek at one of the most exciting innovations that we're building inside of Adobe Learning Manager, and it's called AI Roleplay. This feature is designed to let learners practice real-world conversations in a safe, dynamic environment with instant feedback that helps them learn and grow. In this demo, I'll walk you through a mock-up of the authoring flow, showing you how easy it is to create a role-play scenario. Then I'll step into a live role play myself so you can see the experience in action, followed by a look at the detailed results report, including the personalized report card learners receive after completing a session. Now, it's important to note that this feature is still in active development and it's subject to change. There's no guarantee that it's going to ship exactly as it's shown here, but this demo will give you a sense of where we're headed and the kind of learner experience we want to deliver. With all that said, let's jump right in. In order to create your AI roleplay, you're going to need to be logged in as a course author, and then you're going to access your content library. From the content library screen, you're going to look for this button that I've highlighted here labeled AI Roleplay, and you're going to select it. Once you've clicked on that button, you're going to be taken here where you can give your roleplay a title, a description, and also add a cover graphic if you wish. Once those details are completed, you're going to be taken here where you can choose between 3 different types of role plays. Those are skills assessments, sales enablement sessions, or leadership development. As you can see here on this example, there are several templates already in my library that correspond to different scenarios, like cold calling, B2C discovery calls, and even ones that specify the type of interaction you're going to be having, like talking to a rude prospect. Once you've chosen the type of scenario you want to create, then you're going to be taken to the resources section. The resources can be documents, SCORM files, or job aids that already exist within your ALM content library, and they'll be used as the basis for your AI roleplay assessment. You can choose to extract information from a URL, from a document, or even an audio transcript, or you can create a simulation from scratch that doesn't have any resources at all. After you've added these resources, you're going to go through and refine the persona and conversation opening for your AI roleplay. The persona information is pretty important because it gives the roleplay additional context for the interaction. So, for example, here, I'm talking to the chief information officer from a leading technology company that specializes in innovative solutions for enterprise clients. It gives me a lot of information about the person, and it also allows me to specify things like the persona's concerns. Then on the right-hand side, the conversation opening allows me to basically dictate how the opening part of the conversation is going to go. Once you've done that, you're going to finalize the topics that the role play will cover. Then you're going to set up your scoring settings, including setting the weighting of the style points versus knowledge points. And you can also refine some advanced settings like putting a time limit on the session, allowing for screen sharing, or enabling subtitles. Next, you're going to review your simulation before you publish it. So you want to go through these details and make sure everything is ready to go. And once you've clicked publish and share, you'll be redirected to ALM's add content page where all of the required fields are going to be automatically populated for you. You can then just click the save button to add the role play to your content library. Once the role play has been added to your content library, you could add it to a category of job aids called AI role plays, or simply embed the role play inside of a course. The AI role play job aid will be instantly accessible to learners with access to the catalogs in which the job aid has been added. And if you embed it in a course, it'll just be another module that the learner goes through before they complete it. All right, that wraps up the sneak peek of the author flow for AI roleplay. Now, let's jump into the AI roleplay as a learner and see how it works. All right, here we are inside of a course in Adobe Learning Manager. This course is called ALM Security Essentials for Sales. So the proposed scenario here is that I'm a salesperson. I'm learning all about the security protocols of Adobe Learning Manager. And then at the end of this course, there's an AI role play wherein I speak to a prospective customer who's got some questions about the security protocols within Adobe Learning Manager. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to be speaking with Oliver today. He'll be my customer. And you'll notice when I'm speaking to Oliver, he's not going to call me by my name. That's totally fine. I'm logged into one of our developers' test accounts. So that's why it doesn't say my name. But if you were logged in as you or I was logged in as me, it would obviously say your name. And another thing to note here is that I'm not going to go through the full role play. So when I get my score back, it's going to be a little lower than it probably should be, but that's just because I'm not going to complete the whole thing for the sake of time. So let's go ahead and jump in. When I jump into the role play, you'll notice also I have to confirm a few things like microphone and video settings and all that, because Oliver will be able to see and hear me in the room. So here we go. It's going to bring this up, and I'm going to first have to hit the start button to get everything going. So we'll just hit start. And then now I confirm my camera source, and then I'll confirm my microphone source, and I'll have to say something to trigger the microphone right here. And then you see at the bottom it says say hi to test your mic. So pretty easy to do. Hello. All right, now it's registering me on the microphone and I'm ready to join the session. So let's go ahead and get started.
Hello, Saye. You are about to talk with Oliver.
Hello, I'm Oliver from TechSecure. Before we consider implementing Adobe Learning Manager, I need to assess your platform's security architecture and compliance rigor. Let's dig into your security controls.
Sounds great, Oliver. Nice to meet you. Let's get started.
Right. So, how does Adobe Learning Manager secure sensitive employee and training data? What are your methods?
Well, security is something we take very seriously at Adobe, especially with a platform like Learning Manager that handles sensitive customer information. At a foundational level, all user passwords are hashed and salted before they're ever stored, and every connection to the platform is protected through HTTPS and SSL encryption. On the infrastructure side, Learning Manager is hosted within Amazon Web Services inside a private cloud environment, and we leverage AWS Identity and Access Management to make sure only the right systems have access to the data. That means we're layering strict access controls on top of encryption to really minimize exposure. And since Learning Manager is a multi-tenant SaaS product, we've also built in isolation at the data layer. Customers can only see their own content and their own learners. There's no cross access between accounts. We can even extend that protection to user-generated content like courses or profile images. So, in short, your data is encrypted, isolated, and only accessible by those who are supposed to have access.
Okay, but what does that actually mean in practice? You mentioned encryption and isolation, but how do you ensure that these controls are actually working? Any audits or third-party assessments backing that up?
Sure. Adobe operates under what's called the Common Controls Framework, which is essentially a set of security and compliance practices that we apply across all our products and teams. That means everything from infrastructure to application development follows the same rigorous standards. From a compliance standpoint, we support global regulations like GDPR, ISO standards, and regional frameworks. Customers also have the flexibility to configure Learning Manager in ways that align with their local requirements. Internally, every Adobe employee completes annual security training, and our technical folks go even deeper with advanced programs. Sometimes we jokingly call it security martial arts because they're really hands on. On top of that, we follow a secure product lifecycle process, so security isn't bolted on at the end, it's baked into every stage of development. All of these layered together, and not only to keep Adobe compliant, but also to give our customers confidence that our own regulatory obligations are supported when they use Learning Manager.
Huh. That's actually kind of smart. You're mentioning GDPR and ISO standards.
Okay, so we're going to end the role play there just because for the sake of time, and I'm going to hit end simulation. Once I end the simulation, you're seeing here that it's saying that my session is being processed, so I can't close the tab right now. So what it's doing is it's analyzing me. It's analyzing my responses. It's analyzing my eye contact, the pacing of my voice, whether or not I used a lot of filler words or stumbled over everything. This is really handy when it comes to evaluating, salespeople's ability to pitch or a manager's ability to do something like a performance review. So once this is finished analyzing the session, I'm going to be able to click right here on See Analysis. And that's going to take me to my full analysis with my report card. So let's start from the top here. So you can see here at the top, the conversation simulation tells me what the task was, what the persona was that I interacted with. And then also we can see the top insights. It says my simulation score is 63. Try to cover more topics next time. Well, I cut it short. What do you want? So I got 63 out of 80, which, not terrible, but not great. And then we've got here the AI trainer feedback for me. So it says you showed strong grasp of several key topics, demonstrating a strong understanding of Adobe security architecture and compliance measures, though there are areas that need more attention to provide a comprehensive overview. So it gives me a breakdown of like my explanation of the security architecture, says it was detailed and covered important aspects. I effectively addressed compliance and certifications. And then at the bottom, it says you did not address incident response and vulnerability, which are critical. Your discussion on secure development practices lacked depth, missing key elements like Adobe application security stack, etc. Now, on the far right-hand side, you can see here, this is my knowledge score. How well do you know your stuff? Well, kind of middle of the road, but I also didn't answer half the questions. Then we've got some of my style points. So you can see the different weight here. So 70% of my total score is knowledge, 30% is style. So that's the weighting that I talked about in the author flow that we can change. So clarity, pace, filler words, sentence strength, and energy. Got all pretty good scores there. The only thing really dragging me down is my knowledge proficiency at this point. I can play back the AI scenario here. So I can just hit the play button and it goes through this timeline. And then I can go to the key points of specific areas as well if I want. Then at the bottom here, I've got a full breakdown of what I covered or what I didn't cover. So here is my, Adobe architecture, security architecture knowledge. Gives me an 80 here, gives me pretty good score here. Same thing for the explanation of the protection and access controls and the compliance certifications. But then you can see here the things I got zeros or low scores on. These are things that either I didn't touch on or that I didn't go in depth enough. So for instance, here it says that I briefly touched on secure development practices, but I did not elaborate on Adobe's application security stack. So that's feedback for me there. Then at the very bottom, we've got our style breakdown, and that's a breakdown of how I handle the conversation. So I've got the pace. So it tells me to speak at 140 to 180 words per minute. I spoke at about 175. So I'm a little on the high end. And then you can also see here, it gives me the ability to review when I spoke the fastest. So these are areas that I can go back in and I can look at that specific point in time and slow myself down if I need to when I'm actually interacting with a customer. Clarity. So speak clearly to ensure your message is effectively communicated. It says my clarity is good, meaning people can understand me pretty well. So keep up the good work, 98% out of 100. My sentence strength, between 7 to 30 words long to make your point faster and more accurate. I'm at about 14, so I'm right in the middle of that. So I think that's pretty good. And then filler words says I didn't use any filler words. And then finally, we've got an energy meter down here at the bottom. This is probably one of my favorites because it's indicating to me how energetic I am about specific topics. Now, we all know that there are things that kind of get our juices flowing and things that don't, but this is a great way to kind of see that in a visual representation and to give yourself some feedback and some coaching about, okay, I know that it's really boring to talk about, X, Y, or Z, but I really need to step it up because this thing is telling me I'm extremely low on energy. Now, for this, I was pretty good. I was reading off a prompter, everything was pretty high energy. So we're green all the way across the board. But I have seen these, of course, where I've tried it off script, and I do have some moments where I go up and down. So it's a great way to evaluate that. But this is a full breakdown of the AI role play scenario, and this gives you a better idea of what we're trying to do here, how you put the scenario together, and then also how you go through it as a learner. So that's going to wrap it up for this demo of the Adobe Learning Manager AI role play. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.
Awesome. So, what did you think? Please write your comments yeah, in the chat window. I'd love to know what you thought of all these AI features that we are bringing and we have brought into the learning management system, and some which are on the way. But again, tying it back to the theme of today's session, it's like, how do all these AI features? I know I walked you through the overall trends in the industry of how folks are using AI to show measurable business outcome. So now let's look at how all these AI features work with the other features in ALM to support this transformation. So if you look at this, the Unified Learning Hub, as I mentioned earlier, this is like a one-stop shop. It can support all your learning out of this one platform, right? So you can host your blended learning paths, so all your classroom training, virtual training events, they can all be scheduled and listed over here. You can have your on-the-job training events, your even your social learning and all the content libraries that you've subscribed to, you can integrate them, bring them all together over here. So this becomes the single destination for all your learning: internal, external, synchronous, asynchronous, formal, informal, bringing it all together instead of being in scattered systems. So again, all this is important, right? So that's why I'm giving you this high level architecture and this high level view of everything that takes to make this happen. So then we come to the embedded learning or the headless LMS architecture. So this means that your learning is not just locked inside a platform. So your learners don't need to log into your LMS to view it. It can be embedded anywhere. So this is another key feature of Adobe Learning Manager, which supports this transformation. So you can embed the fluidic player in your intranet, your partner portal, your customer community, or even inside business applications. In fact, we have an out-of-the-box integration for Salesforce in there. So learning meets people where the work happens, right? So they don't need to log in anywhere else. Now let's add to that. Let's look at the extended integrations. So here we have a lot of connectors which can be used to integrate with all the other systems. Like we discussed earlier, I explained why it's important to connect to these external systems, your HR systems, your CRM, your performance tools. And depending on the size of your organization and the maturity of the organization, etc., you could be using different systems, and it really depends, right? So for each of these unique combinations, architectures, and configurations, you can easily connect with them. And so your learning data doesn't sit in isolation. It can connect to your talent metrics, it can connect to your sales performance and your business outcomes. And with multi-tenancy, so I'm going into a little bit of detail about these features for folks who are new and don't know this about Adobe Learning Manager. So in addition to the AI features, I just thought I'll just introduce you to these. And even for folks who have used but may not have realized how they all come together, I thought it was important to bring all this together. Okay. So, and once I'm done with this, I'll take your questions. So this is how, like, you can maintain with this multi-tenancy. What you actually do is you can set up different views for your employees, partners, and customers all within the same platform. So you can maintain separate branding, governance, reporting, content access. You can do all that with the multi-tenancy feature. And if you want more information about this, you can get back to us and we will help you with that. Okay. And then on top of all this, let's layer in the intelligence, and let's look at like if you, when you add all the features that we just saw today in today's demo, we have the semantic search, we have the personalized recommendations, we have the AI assistant, we have the AI coach, and all this comes together. And if this interactions and all this information and training activity can then be combined with your HR platform, your CRM, your performance management system, and your enterprise analytics engine. Then, you can start seeing how training impacts your deal velocity, how the win rates are increasing. You can compare the before and after win rates of your sales teams to see how the training intervention helped. And it also shows you product adoption, right? They've undergone training over here, they've gone through a product training here, and then you can see how the product adoption is happening by integrating with that particular system and your customer retention data. All of this can be analyzed using AI, and these cross system data can start surfacing patterns and insights, which show how your learning initiatives are truly influencing the performance of your organization. So, with this, I come to the end of my presentation, and I'm going to stop sharing. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. And meanwhile, let me start sharing my video as well. So, okay, I see a question there saying accept XAPI. Yes, it can be integrated with XAPI. Sorry, folks, I know there may be questions in there. Our team is on this webinar, so they may have been answering all your questions. But if there's something which has not been answered, please put it in there so that we can support it or answer it. SCORM, yes, of course, Joe. So you can just publish your content into a SCORM package and you can upload it to the LMS. So then it can track the progress and things like that. Fabulous stuff. Thank you, Joe. So we are also very excited about all these innovations that are happening because, as you can see, it truly transforms your platform into a business performance engine. We still have about 8 minutes, so if people don't feel shy, please feel free to ask. Am I able to share this video with colleagues? Yes, Georgina, we have it listed on YouTube, but I'll just, reach out to my colleagues over here just to check if that video is shareable. Dwij or anyone else from the team, if you can just respond to this question about if this video can be, it's listed on YouTube, so I don't know if the access is restricted though. So while we are here, what are the restrictions? What are the constraints that you're facing? I know I couldn't see the answers to the question I asked earlier. It'll be great if you could share that here. So Joe, is there any details available on the cost of licensing or an organization of around 2,000 employees? Um, um, Joe, if you can just I think I'll share your details with you can send an email to our team. Let me just put my email address in here and you can send me a mail and I'll put you in touch with the folks who can give you more information about the licensing. Yeah, Priyanka just answered that. Great. And Neil says, is it just during the demo or will the user really be looking at a photo rather than an avatar during the role play? So that's very good feedback, Neil. We'll definitely share it with the PMs, the product managers. But I do believe it will be an avatar because we've made a significant amount of progress with the avatars in our authoring tool. So, but if they're not thinking, I'm sure they are planning for that. But if they're not, I'll just definitely share your feedback and your requirement with them. If we have an assessment to determine the level, could it be analyzed to recommend some lessons or learning paths? Yes, absolutely. Because the capability gaps, because once you configure the skill framework to look at the evolving skills in your business, You have to evaluate your employees to assess. So again, there are systems. So um, um, around. So the question to you is it being done in a separate system? How do you do these assessments? So, but even if it's done in an external, I'll determine both ways. So when you do it externally, that information can be integrated and brought into ALM to update and determine and assign learning paths. You said there are lots of different views available for different areas in the organization. Can these be switched between different learners? So, Georgina, there are various ways you can customize this. So, the multi-tenancy, if you create different uh, tenants for each of these user groups, yes, you can give them their own custom areas of learning. Uh, Claudia says, will the full-fledged functionality of Captivate be available from within ALM in the future? So no need for separate authoring anymore. And when can? So we're doing a lot of work on that area, Claudia. So yes, we are working on including content generation as well from within the tool. So just be on the lookout for more information on that front. But yes, we are working on it. Neil says, I like this question, was wondering how much the seat will cost. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So that I'm not sure about the pricing. I don't have, I'm not privy to that information. So unfortunately, I can't answer that question. Um, Ruben says, is it possible to turn a video in English language to other languages and Captivate? Yes, Ruben. It's an upcoming feature. The translation is an upcoming feature in our roadmap. Yes, Anish has replied. So, Joe, please send the email to learning manager sales at adobe.com. Or it's okay if you send it to me, I can forward it to that email address so that the team, sales team can get back in touch with you. Charlie says, could I get a recording of this session as I missed during some technical glitches? Yes, yes, Charlie, we will be sharing the recording of the session with everyone who's registered for it. So even if you couldn't attend, I think the link will be sent to everyone. You're welcome. You're welcome, Sirpa. Thanks, Neil. Really good to see what's being developed now. Have a great session. Thanks. My pleasure. Thanks, Georgina. Oh, okay. So is this the link to the session that you're referring to, Mustafa? Uh, I'm not sure which link you're referring to. Um, is it still on the Captivate roadmap to make Captivate 13 backward compatible? Yes, absolutely. We're going to be coming out with a beta version soon, so you can test the migration of your classic projects to the new Captivate. Thank you, Antonio. My pleasure. From the reminder email. Okay, we'll check that, Mustafa. Dimitri. Okay, and I really wanted to attend. Hi, how are you, my friend? Yes, there is a recording. Oh, that you will tell me that there's a, but I never received the links. Okay, I will make sure it comes to everyone registered for this. Priyanka and Dvija here, and I'm sure, since you've expressed interest, we'll ensure everyone gets a recording.